Today's guest is Mo Brings Plenty, who is an actor, cultural advisor, and proud Lakota man, best known for his powerful role in Yellowstone. Born and raised on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, Mo brings those teachings to the screen and the wider world, using his platform to champion Native representation, cultural preservation, and truth-telling. By sharing personal stories, practical solutions, and mind-body techniques, I'm Fine helps listeners move beyond pain and find possibility within it. I'm Jean Campbell, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. It is an honor and a privilege for me to welcome Mo Brings Plenty to I'm Fine today. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
We're in Oxford, and you've had a really, really busy week doing all kinds of things. I hope you've had a really wonderful time. And I heard that you met the king.
Oh, absolutely. It was wonderful. I have a great deal of respect for him, so yeah, it was a great honor and a privilege for me to have that opportunity, coming from the Lakota Nation in South Dakota. And so it was good to be present. It was good to be representative of a lot of American Indian tribes throughout the states.
I'd love if you could tell me a little bit about your upbringing on the Pine Ridge Reservation and how it's shaped the person that you've become today.
I always say I grew up in Lakota country because we have a number of reservations, and my father's from Pine Ridge, my mother's from Cheyenne River, but we also had relatives on the Rosebud Reservation, and all three are fairly close. Pine Ridge and Rosebud are neighboring reservations. And so as a kid growing up, I was born in Pine Ridge. I'm tribally enrolled in Cheyenne River, where my mother's from. And so growing up, I grew up in a small community called Porcupine, and which is about, in the way a bird flies, is about 7 miles from the Wounded Knee Massacre site. And so as a kid growing up, I struggled a lot with how society viewed us in our existence, as Lakota people. I got to a point where, I was angry, and I used to go out and I would look at the sky and I would curse God for making me a Lakota because of everything that we were going through, what we've been through and what we were going through, and unfortunately in some cases still going through today. And so I was angry for some time in my life, and with that anger, it brought a sense of racism, primarily to my own identity. And so, but my mother and father, they were amazing parents. I mean, my father taught us work ethics. We didn't have running water, electricity. Those were the best days of my life. We had relatives that lived, they were our neighbors, but they were probably about a mile away. And so my cousins and my little brother and I, we rode horses everywhere, and we literally had dirt roads. And so to go anywhere, you either you'd ride bike, or you'd walk, or you'd ride horse. And so we rode horses a lot. And like I said, it was, I do recall at home, due to the fact that we didn't have electricity, what I loved about it and what I miss about it the most, it was very family oriented. We had relatives that would come visit us. Grandparents were there, and the outside was a cooking area. And so spring, summer, and fall, weather permitting, we all sat outside, we'd eat. We always had family gatherings. In the winter times, they cooked on a wood stove, we ate indoors. But like I said, those were amazing times. And in the evenings, we had kerosene lanterns. And so they would light the lanterns, and we would sit there and listen to the stories of how it used to be. And which was very intriguing to me. I attended a a school, Holy Rosary Mission, or now known as Red Cloud Indian School, which was a Catholic-based public school on our reservation. At one period in time, it was a boarding school, and but I went to school there, and we would attend mass at certain times in the afternoons, and so we learned Catholicism, and which wasn't a bad thing. I mean, there was some pretty good Jesuits and stuff, but there were also some pretty mean nuns and sisters and priests and Jesuits. But I mean, it comes in every aspect. But I was fortunate enough to also come to understand our traditional ways, which when I was a child, they were still outlawed by the United States government. Our ceremonial way of prayer was banned. And if you were caught practicing it, you could be charged, judged and incarcerated, and in the older days there was executions. And so the biggest fear for me, there was a place called Yankton, South Dakota, and there was a state hospital there where there was a lot of holy people were sent, and they always talk about shock treatments, lobotomizing that occurred, and so that was one of the biggest fears for me. So I always try to be mindful, so I wouldn't get in trouble, and whatever the case was, to be sent there.
What parts of your Lakota heritage are most central to your identity today, like professionally in your advocacy and still in your personal life?
The center of our traditions is holding myself accountable. That's what keeps me grounded, and primarily never forgetting where I came from, because there was a great price that has been paid for our language, our ceremonies, our songs to still be present in this day and time. Such individuals as Chief Leonard Crodog Sr. and Russell Means and all of them that changed that. Over in 1976, President Jimmy Carter signed the Indian Religious Freedom Act, which then in turn we were allowed to practice openly.
Which is shocking. It's so recent.
Yeah, it's very recent. I mean, when I look at everything, the past, the history is not that far from me. So everything is still there. I mean, we got to see a lot of things in my life. I witnessed it. And if you know about, the world is famous, especially in the States, they're famous for talking about the tragedies that occur in whether it's Germany or other countries, but they forget to, and it's not that I need them to, but they forget to acknowledge the atrocities that occurred in the States at their own hands. And I know this, for example, this is a fact that we can't change 5 seconds ago. As much as we would love to, we cannot. And I know that with that understanding, that's what really helped me to overcome a lot of my self-hatred. And I think that's what's wrong with the majority of societies too, is there's so much mass confusion that's occurring that we end up with this disapproval of ourselves, and we bestow this horrible judgment that we begin to do things that are not of ourselves. And so knowing that we can't change 5 seconds ago, I begin to think, well, what am I going to do right now to affect the next 5 seconds yet to come in a good way? And so it's the simplicity of an understanding of a spiritual way. It is better to be a being than it is to be human. Because when you obtain the ability to be a true being or a spirit, then and only then can you be a true human. And so And what I mean by that is by knowing that I'm a spirit first, that I need to conduct myself. The only thing I own in my life, the only thing I truly own is the destiny of my soul. So if I care about that and I conduct myself in a way that's going to be medicine or positive for my soul's destiny, then that's going to in turn help me to be a good human and coexist with all those that exist around me. And so, because, you know, you think about, I thought about this many times. 1,000 years is not even close to a drop in the bucket of forever. And so I think about eternity. I think about what's next. And so that is giving me the opportunity to hold myself accountable. At the end of each day, I ask myself a simple question. Did I conduct my life in a way that makes God want to be in my presence as much as I desire to be in God's presence? And I have to be honest with myself. Did every individual that I come across and meet, did they walk away with a smile on their face? Were they comfortable with who they are? Or did they walk away feeling judged by maybe something I said or something I done? And if I'm brutally honest with myself, you know, the answer is not yet. So I have to continue to work at that with each day, each moment, not day, but moment, because I live my life moment to moment. If I live my life day to day, then I'm going to start missing bits and pieces of life that are important, or the experiences of life. So I live moment to moment.
It's truly inspiring to hear everything that you're saying. And it's unbelievably shocking and also beautiful to see you today with what you're saying. Are there traditions or teachings that you learned in your childhood that have helped you through that guidance or continue to guide you today?
Oh, absolutely. You know, there's many aspects of the traditions. I mean, it's nature shows us every day what spirituality is. And because we've now labeled nature in the categories or with the labels that we've given them, such as plants and animals, we've excused those teachings that help us to grow on a spiritual level. And so a lot of our teachings, you know, there's no, in the history of the human race, there is no human being, in spite of their greatness in the later parts of their lives, no human being has ever been born with the ability to speak a language. None. But the moment a buffalo calf is born, the moment that calf enters this world, it knows and speaks the language of its people. And it could walk in a matter of minutes. You can take a seed, an acorn. The acorn doesn't move. It talks, but we don't understand. We don't understand it. We can't hear it. But that acorn looks like it's nothing, but it is something. It is knowledge. It is knowing. Not knowledge, it is knowing. You throw that acorn on the ground, and that acorn's going to know when to start its life. You take a human infant and you lay that human infant on the ground, that human infant will perish in a matter of hours. So there's a great knowledge that we've excused. And so when I look back at the traditions of my people, their knowledge and their assistance. So when we pray or when we sing, we acknowledge all of those that had played a part in giving us something that helped us to draw closer to God by living with the earth versus upon it. Like my people's language came from what we call the Buffalo Nation. Our social structure came from them, and our constant reminders was the horses. The wolves gave us something, the coyotes gave us something, everything gave us something. And so we acknowledge all of them in our prayer that got us closer to God, Allah, whatever we choose to call the one creator of all creation. And so tradition has played a huge factor in who I am today, how I look, how I carry myself. Because what I do, it's not just about my tradition. It's my way of expressing my gratitude. Because remember earlier, I stated that I used to be angry at God, and I'm gonna say God so everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But later in life, as I began to understand and got further and deeper into the traditional understandings, I began to change my anger into gratitude.
Mm.
So it's my way of saying, letting the world know that God did not mess up by making me who I am. God didn't give me this choice. God dreamt this for me.
Mm.
And so this is who I am. And I want to honor my maker. All of us who understand and know the higher power, I don't care what religion, what faith we have, what language we speak, they're going to understand and know too. So what I believe in is real, because I've seen the power of it. I witnessed it with my own eyes. I didn't have to have faith, but because I seen it, I gained trust in it. And because I believe in it, that to know it's real, that I don't condemn others for what they believe in. You know, instead I want to encourage them. Hey, you have a beautiful way of life. Just continue to walk it, and you're going to see it grow for you as you grow in it. And so.
The other day when I first met you, you told a really significant and beautiful story about a ritual around braiding your hair. Is that something that you would be happy to share with the listeners?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, a braid is so significant to us as Lakota people, because in our culture, women are the next best thing to God. And the reason why we understand that and believe in that way is because I've never seen a male of any species give birth, only the females. They have a great gift, and that is to give life. And so we wear our hair in two separate braids as men to honor the women. Because if it weren't for the women, we couldn't be here as men. And so it takes 3 strands to make a braid. One strand represents the higher power. Second strand represents the earth, which is also our body. And the third strand represents our soul, our spirit. And all 3 are brought together as one. And so it's a reminder of how we must conduct our lives and through this walk of life. And all of them, always consciously at the forefront of our minds and our thoughts and our decisions. And so it's just a reminder. It's no different than a priest that wears a crucifix as their reminder. I mean, you know, we all do something that's going to remind us of how we must try to be or work towards being. And so that's what the braid represents.
Obviously, you're an incredibly well-respected actor and feature as Mo in Yellowstone. But more importantly, I would say you are the cultural advisor for Native Affairs. How do you find having that responsibility in representing Native identity on the screen? What is that like for you?
You know, it's quite simple. I'm just the individual that is holding the door open. And what I try to do with that is I try to give the opportunity, because there's so many different tribes throughout the states. And We all don't speak the same language. We all don't have. There are a few things that are universal amongst us. Other than that, there's a big differences. And so what I try to do is I go because growing up, like I said, with the past experiences, and um, when I go, if there's a storyline about a specific tribe, I go to that tribe. I meet with their tribal council. I ask the people, if I already don't know, then I'm gonna find the grassroots people within that community, and those are the individuals who maintain language, who maintain their ceremonies and all the things that endured the trials and tribulations to still maintain them and carry them. They're the ones I want to have that opportunity to be the voice, because they were there when no one else in the community maybe didn't want to be. And so I want to give respect to them, to in my way, to honor them, because that was a hard time, back in the 60s, 70s, even the early 80s. And so I want them to have that opportunity to be honored in that way, and let people know, hey, these are the people that endured it all, and they're still here. And so that's the easy aspect of it. And what makes it also easy is, like, for the Yellowstone world, so to say, Taylor Sheridan has been a great advocate for Indian country, the American Indian country, and he is an individual who wants things to be authentic. And so it makes it even easier when you have someone with his stature to be standing there by your side, and at times if he has to speak up, he will. But so it's wonderful.
Yeah. At the heart of Yellowstone is this ongoing battle over land that's of deep ancestral significance for Native people. How do you feel that the show handles that tension?
Realistically,
Amazing.
I mean, it's just point blank, and because there are those trials and tribulations that are those moments do occur, and not just for the makeshift tribe on Yellowstone, but in real life. Whether it's the Inde, or what society calls the Apache, or the Comanche, or the Lakota, it still occurs here and there. In moments, it'll rise up in those situations. And the reason why it's so significant is because of the sacredness of it. If there's an old church that a lot of people, important people, prayed at, people would deem it a holy place, and they would do everything to try to protect it. It's no different than with us. It's the same thing. And so that's why that message is incorporated into the show.
You've spoken about the sense of feeling like it is necessary, or it was necessary for you to take the role, despite not necessarily wanting to, of course, revisit that history. And at the heart of Yellowstone is this huge contrast between the beauty of the land and then the struggle that is going on within it, almost as though it's like a living being. And you've spoken about that earlier on in this episode. But how was it to tell that story where it has such personal significance to you?
It's everything that we've done on, like, and that's why I say that it's, Taylor Sheridan has been very important and an impactful as a friend, as a family member or relative, because if it weren't for individuals like him, then we wouldn't have those opportunities to share that. to express those things, and why is it important to us as American Indian people, and why is it important to John Dutton, and why is it important to a developer? I mean, there's all these different players within this show that we were all, trying to maneuver different ways to figure out ways to maintain or obtain, a certain area. And with that, at the end of the day, there were two sides that were all about preserving. It was all about the preservation of it and the importance of why it's, for us, we had our reasons of preserving it. The Dutton family had their reasons. John Dutton had his reason for preserving it. And were they the same? No, but there was still a common ground: preservation.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that when people view that, I hope they understand what's being done there. We have a lot more in common as human beings than we do.
Like to think.
Yeah, way more in common.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can just begin to notice some of those important things, that's what will help us revitalize humanity.
In real life, there is a great deal of pain among Native communities due to displacement and cultural erasure. What form does that take today?
I can only speak from my own experience. And I know that we as people, we all deal with pain in different ways. It's unfortunate that majority of people, and this is not just, about Indian country, American Indian people, it's as a whole, in general. It's unfortunate that a lot of people utilize pain as an excuse to inflict pain upon others.
Mm.
If they really truly experience pain, then they would understand and know what it feels like, and they would not want that to be felt by anyone else. For me, the pain led me to a frustration. It led me to a place of fear. And fear is not a natural instinct to the human being.
Mm.
Fear is taught. Fear cannot live or even have a birthplace without thought. We have to think before we begin to feel fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was able to understand and separate the two, and I stopped giving life to fear, my pain is still there, because these are things that I've experienced that will never go away. But I utilize that pain for my energy or for my fight to do something good.
Mm.
I don't want anyone else to experience what I've experienced. I don't wish that upon anyone. And so I just want the world to be different. I would love to see humanity. I would love for the children to not even know or understand what war is. What does that mean? I mean, in my people's language, we don't even have a word for war in our traditional language. But today we understand it. And you could make change without fighting. And so I when I look at the pain, there are some people that I see, and I understand it, because I've been there too. And I wished I could take it away from them, especially the grandmas, especially the children. I wished I could take it away from them, and so they won't ever have to experience it. I'll let me have that burden. I'll carry it. And I know I can't do that, but that's my thought. And so I think that's why I got into film and television,
Mm-hmm.
to let them know that you can be who you are. And I utilize my pain in certain scenes, I let it come back.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know how to say, okay, you had your moment now.
Go
I'm gonna
back
put you over
now.
here. I don't. I'm not throwing you away. I know I need you. I'm gonna need you at some point, and sometimes that pain helps me to protect myself, but not in a way that I'm not allowing myself to experience life or that moment. But I need it from time to time, and so pain's not a bad thing. I mean, it's just a reminder. It's a simple reminder, um, and it helps us to reflect and help it to move forward in a more diligent, eloquent way in life.
Mm-hmm. It's so humbling listening to you, Mo. And something that feels very present is the like expansive amount of love that you have. And obviously, I don't mean love like you love your own children or love your family, but it's very evident being in your presence. And I wonder how you found such great love in the way that you speak, in the things that you do, and in your outlook, despite the fear that you had to overcome. Did the love enter alongside the fear, or did you have to get rid of the fear? I mean, how did that work? Because it is miraculous to listen to you.
I had to eliminate fear, because fear was an illusion and a false substance that was trying to fill a void where love should be.
Mm.
And we all have the ability to love. My love is for life. I want when people are doing great, when their life's good, regardless of how grand or how little, everyone's life's already good. Um, and so the moment that I was able to eliminate fear, and don't get me wrong, that fear and we still fight from time to time, and that's the only thing I choose to fight off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's to allow that space within myself, that those thoughts to be occupied by what's more important, and that's what it's love. I mean, love is so, there's no limitation for love. There's no, okay, you can have this amount of love. Love is like the universe. Now take a moment and think about the universe. Where is the outer edge of this universe?
It doesn't exist.
That's right. It is so vast. It is endless. The true concept of forever is simply there in the universe. And when you think about that concept, when you truly take a moment and think about it, then you're going to understand and know that, oh, there's no limitations, or there's no maximum amount of love that I can obtain. It is endless. And love is a true power. A true power I used to think when I was a kid, what made a warrior run out of the village towards an enemy or a foe that was coming to kill with nothing but his bare hands?
Mm.
How much love did it take for that individual to get up and run out to sacrifice his own life so the women and children can get away? I don't know,
Mm.
but I hope to know in my physical life. And so that is so powerful. And when we can begin to understand that, I mean, with the lack of love, for ourselves, within ourselves, for others. We live with this concept or these moments of regret or anger or revenge or, that individual broke my heart. No one broke your heart. It just, you had a moment. Embrace that moment, and now you're meant to go different ways because you're gonna have another moment. And so on and so forth. I mean, it's in everything, whether it's friendships, whether it's relationships, love interests, whatever the case may be. It's in all aspects. Employment, career choices. I mean, we can go on and on. And so, but when we love ourselves and we are thankful for those moments, those are everything in life that we experience is to help us up the staircase to elevate ourselves or to grow stronger. And then when we are capable, then we know how to be able to stand strong for the people.
What do you think is the greatest threat to that love that you're referring to?
For me or from?
For you, for the world, whichever you prefer.
For me, I think the greatest threat to that is the lack of humanity. I mean, actually, it's fear. I mean, the lack of humanity is all fear-based. And people only want to destroy something that they don't know or don't understand, and because they're fearful of it. And so when that's the thing I think that's the thing that threatens it.
I wanted to ask you, what lessons from your ancestors would you most want to pass down to your children, younger generations, and the wider world?
The one thing that nature is always true to, and that is the reality of life. And it's not, has nothing to do with pain or love. It's a combination of everything. You're not living if you're not feeling. My grandpa CeeLo Black Crow, who was a gifted Lakota elder, a medicine man, however you want to word it, but I had, he shared with me one time. He said, because I was going through some stuff and I didn't have to say anything, he knew. And he brought it up. He said, there's a machine that they hook up to your heart. And that machine will indicate, it'll go up, down. He said it goes up and down and goes straight and then up and down and straight. And I said, yeah. He goes, what does that mean? He says, it means you're alive. I said, yeah. But if it just goes straight, what does that mean? I said, it means you passed. The heart stopped. So that's right. So you need the ups and downs in your life so you're reminded that you're still alive. And I want them to understand that we're all beautiful people. To believe in yourselves. The whole world can not have 1 ounce of belief within you or for you. But if you believe in yourself, you're always going to succeed. And what I mean by succeed is that you're going to become closer to the higher power. And that's where blessings can be found or seen. And those blessings ain't going to come in a monetary or physical thing. They may come in different aspects. And that's what we need. I don't conduct my life. It just, my purpose is for me is to make sure that when it's all said and done, that God wanted to be in my presence as well. And And so I continue to work at that. Everything else has just been a blessing, whether it's being an actor, a musician, whatever the case may be, a speaker, presenter. Um, Everything else has just been a blessing. Meeting you, meeting all the wonderful people here in London and here in Oxford. I mean, that's all a blessing to me. And so I see that the creator sees that I'm working hard, and I feel like I'm getting closer now, and so it's so thank you.
Thank you. The blessing is mine.
No, it's mine. And so I'm thankful. I'm truly thankful, and keep up what you're doing as well.
Mo, what's the definition of a warrior to you?
The definition of a warrior. It's pretty simple. I mean, our concept of what it means to be a warrior is that of nature. And if you look at today's in society, when they say a warrior, it means that someone who is strong and can bestow violence, or has a strength within a violent setting. Our concept of a warrior is someone who is able to walk without causing harm to anyone else. We become protectors. Because a male has one or two choices. That's only one or two duties. You can either take life or you can protect life. And so a warrior is always going to protect life. We don't try to force anything onto anyone else in spite of what they believe, and that's the understanding of having cultural diversity. And that's what the world needs more of, is cultural diversity. Like, you look at my last name, brings plenty. I'll give you a short story of where that name came from. So there was a young boy named Little Chief amongst the people. And Little Chief was told by the holy person of the village that he was going to go with the buffalo hunters. So he went with the buffalo hunters. He prepared, gathered his things. He didn't ask the holy man how, when, or where. He just went back, gathered his stuff, got his horse ready, and he rode off with the buffalo hunters. They went. They found food, and they were coming back. And upon the return to the people, they came across a patrolling troop of soldiers. And some of the men with this group gave the horses carrying the food to Little Chief and a couple others. And Little Chief said, "No, today you're going to see something." And so he rode off down into this draw, and he took a few leaves of sage and prayed, and he rubbed the leaves of sage on his chest and upon the chest of his horse. Jumped on his horse, sheltered himself with a buffalo robe. And so these men were watching from a safe distance, and as the soldiers was coming up, Little Chief jumped out on horseback and charged towards them. And the men closest to him began to shoot at him. Little Chief stopped his horse, turned around, and rode away. Instead of them pursuing him, they began to dismount and take an attack formation. And so once more, Little Chief charged with his horse, and this time his horse jumped over into the circle. And these men saw nothing was happening to this individual or this horse. So they mounted up and they fled. And so Little Chief went back to the people and to the men, and he shook the buffalo robe that he sheltered himself with, and all the bullets that were intended for him and his horse fell out of this buffalo robe. So when they got back, all the men told the villagers what they witnessed and seen. So later on that night, they changed his name from Little Chief to Brings Plenty, because he brought a fight to others without taking a life, and he brought life back to the people.
That is such an incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Absolutely.
With the intention of building awareness and growing understanding around Native communities and culture, how can we honor and respect that without appropriating?
The best way is to give opportunity. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today if Taylor Sheridan Paramount wouldn't have given me the opportunity. I mean, I get to occupy a space that was written for an individual like myself, and where I get to be myself. I look at like a Chief Leonard Crodog Sr. when he was here. He was a philosopher. He was a doctor. He was many things without a degree. There are different levels of education, and all of this knowledge that we all obtain and understanding, when we can combine them and bring them together to the one space, when the opportunity is given, then it's going to be something great for all people. So for us to get that, have that opportunity to occupy that space, you know, we don't need sympathy. We need opportunity. Allow us to be true to who we are, and give us that opportunity, and we will show you that we can coexist and support you in what it is that you're doing as well. And so that's really the best way, and that's what encourages our young people to know and understand that, we don't have to, we're accepted, so we can be true to who we are, and so I think really that's the best way to do so.
I have one last question, which actually was a question you said you asked yourself. If you had 30 seconds to pass on a message that you feel that the world needs to hear, what would that be?
Love. Love yourself so you can truly love others. Don't be angry. Don't feel that. Your heart will never break. You feel sadness. You'll experience that sadness and that pain, but your heart still beats. It never breaks. And that, it's like when you look at a tree, when the wind blows so hard, branches will fall out of that tree, but you will never see that tree try to get revenge at the wind. Instead, it begins to grow stronger and taller. And so it's the same with us. People will come into our lives. They may break our heart, hurt our feelings, but don't dwell on that. It's another means of growth. And so be thankful for it. See it as a blessing. Don't look at the light of it and the brightness of it and the opportunity that may come from it. You learned something, and you learned the ability to love freely. You had the ability to trust. I mean, we lost that. A lot of people don't trust no more. They don't trust so much to the level that they don't even trust themselves. And I know it's longer than 30 seconds, but that's just the reality of it. We need to learn to trust again. Not be afraid to take those chances and take that step, embrace that moment, and be thankful for that moment, regardless of the outcome, and self-belief. And that's what's going to get you closer to the higher power. And you're already healed. The moment you wake up, the day is already perfect. All you have to do is allow it to remain that way. We're the only ones who make each day imperfect or filled with sorrow and sadness. We just have to simply allow it to remain perfect.
Thank you so much. It's been just mind-blowingly amazing to have you here. Thank you, Mo.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
It was such an incredible experience to do this episode with Mo Brings Plenty, who I got the opportunity to meet thanks to Dr. Deepak Chopra and Meena Kara. When I filmed this episode, I had come straight from the Falcon Retreat hosted by Natasha Silverbell, which brings together world-class healers and experts for the purpose of mental health and well-being. I'm so grateful to Natasha, who's been a real pioneer in the space of mental health with the work that she does with Silverbell Global. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. To support I'm Fine, please subscribe and follow us on social media for more updates.